Happy Friday, everyone. And on that note, it's officially been 1 week since Prismatic Evolutions has released, and we're starting to see the dust settle a little. We have a better picture of where the set's at, where some of the prices are, where some of the sealed is. So we're going to talk about all of that, where it's at in relation to the market and everything. And also stay tuned for the very end. We have a very exclusive card we're going to talk about at the end that's not related to Prismatic. But jumping in here, we're going to start off obviously with the Umbreon because it's the most popular card from the set, arguably the most popular modern Pokemon card, or the Umbreon is. So we saw release prices being high, right? 1600. They came down. These charts, we're not going to go too in depth into the charts because obviously there's not much there. But they went down to 1500, and then as of now on TCG Player, lowest listeds are 1750 essentially, and then it moves up, and there is one at 2500. Keep in mind, there's only 7 copies available on TCG Player, and you can see these are all the last solds. The last few have been in the 1700s. We've seen a 1600 sale in here. Then it goes back to 17s, 16s, 15s, and 14s before that. So it looks like the Umbreon climbing a little bit on TCG Player, but if you jump over to eBay, we're actually seeing the card come down a little in the most recent sales. I mean, you got a 1380 with $70 shipping, so you're at 1400 here, a 1375, another 1400. You got a little hand-drawn derpy one someone bought for 35 bucks with $20 shipping. That's wild. So if you're an artist, maybe you can draw some cards for people. 15, 15, 16, 15. Now, I say this because on the eBay side, we were seeing 2000, 1800, 1900 sales closer to release. So it has come down a little, and there is a $1,200 sale in here as well, but mostly around kind of around that 1500 and even an 1100 sale in here. So there are some deals to be had on the eBay side if you're willing to hunt and probably try and get those as soon as they're posted. Then we have the Sylveon. Sylveon's kind of come down off of release, which is kind of something we normally see. You know, prices are high and they tail off down to 500. Recent sales are 450, then kind of some in the fives, like low to mid fives, pretty consistent before that. You look at lowest listed for an English copy from a starred seller is a little higher, mid fives essentially on the Sylveon. Now on the eBay side for Sylveon, it's a little closer, right? You do have a 500 sale, but before that 440, 460, 405, then you have a 600, then you're in the fives. So looks like the more recent sales have come down just a little into the fours. So it's a little, the markets are a little different between eBay and TCG, but we're kind of seeing where it's stabilizing. So interesting times here. We get a kind of an idea of where these cards are going to go, at least for like maybe the next few weeks. Now that brings me over to the sponsor of today's video, which is Pokey Notify. Pokey Notify, if you're not familiar, is a notification service on Discord where you can get pings sent straight to your phone. And we've seen a lot of prismatic drops happening this week. Target, I think Walmart was happening. You can get notified and have a chance. It's tough out there when you're fighting against the bots. There's a lot of bots and scalpers happening right now, unfortunately. And Pokey Notify does give you a leg up. You can see they have tons of positive reviews. You don't have to trust my word for it. You can go on here and you can check. They have success stories in there so you guys can see. Also, if you want, they do have a free 3-day trial. It is $7.99 a month, but you can cancel if you feel like the service is not what you're looking for. So you can try it out and go for it, and if you don't like it, then you can cancel. But they do have success stories in there and live notifications for TCG drops on 100+ websites. They have a lot of different websites, a lot of different countries in there as well. Instant notifications. They got to buy, sell, trade. It's like a whole little Discord community. So that's Pokey Notify. If you're interested in signing up, there will be a link to sign up with a discount code, get you 25% off your first month. But yeah, Pokey Notify, just a way to get a leg up and combat some of the bots and scalpers out there. But let's get back to the cards. Leafeon, similar, kind of coming down a little pre-release. The high was 468, down into the 430s, with most recent sales actually being like kind of high threes, 395, 389, fours before that. Nothing, I mean, this is a drop into the high threes, but we'll have to see where the current lowest listed is. Current lowest listed from a start seller is at 380. So, some of these coming down, and then if there's a few more that sell, it will be back up into the fours. So it'll be interesting to see. We've seen this before with other cards. After the release comes down, it comes back down and settles, and we have seen in the past cards jump up after release, which in the past in a slower market, it was all just they would pre-release prices would be the very high, right, and they would slowly over time just all the way down over months, right. But that's not the market that we're in right now, so that's why we're getting a gauge for where things are at, right. So yeah, the Leafeon here. We also have, we'll touch on some sealed real quick and then we'll jump back to some singles. So I did want to talk about the Pokemon Center ETBs because these are the ones that obviously came down a lot. You could see pre-release prices were really high. If you're not familiar why this kind of was, on TCG Player, only brick and mortar stores like a physical location are allowed to sell pre-release on TCG Player, and then once release day hits, everyone can sell. And people were buying at these prices, by the way, in the 400s, but it shot down to a low of 240 and it went back up to 270, and we're kind of seeing, looks like 250, 260-ish. There was a sale down here as low as 200, but then it shot up immediately to 250s. So 250s, 260s, it kind of seems where it's at, with the lowest listed being 250. So this is one of those products we just got to probably give it more time. For me, like, I would be holding these, the Pokemon Center ETBs. I would not be moving off of them. I would just give them some more time. When you talk about this with 151 as your reference point, those are well into the 300 range, upper to mid 300s for the 151 PC ETBs. So we might just need more of these to move, right? We needed the supply to come down, because there are 238 copies on TCG Player right now, and when you have a lot of supply, people go undercut and they'll go, oh well, I'll sell a little bit under you, and this guy goes, I'll sell a little bit under you, and until we hit the bottom, right? So you kind of have to weed out some of those sales. So if you're sitting on a PC ETB and you're a little worried, don't be worried, right? I just think you got to give this product a bit more time. On a more positive note, though, we are seeing the regular ETBs come down. This is great because a lot of people weren't able to get them. They're becoming a little bit more affordable. We can see let's see, we'll pull it up right here was release date, January 17th. They did come down on release date because they were in the 150s before, and then January 17th, they came down to 120, and now you can see they're just dropping. Most recent sale being 100. Before that, we were in the 1-teens, right? Pretty consistent, and 111 right here. So lowest listed, if you want to get past all of these, like, they list the sleeves and stuff on here. I wish that TCG would have a separate category for this. So we do have to get through some of these lower listings, right? But lowest listed is in the 1-teens still. From starred sellers, you're looking at 114. 114 here, pretty consistent. So yeah, the ETBs have come down. The Pokemon Company, if you missed it, we talked about it in a video. Both on the English side and the Japanese side, they said that they are going to ramp up printing capabilities and print more of this set. They're going to print more of the Japanese set. So in theory, this should become more available. Hopefully, the market, the demand for this, if they can print enough to bring the price down where there's not as big of a markup for these scalpers, it will weed out the scalpers and they'll go away and go to something else, right? Which is something that we have seen Pokemon successfully do on the Japanese side. They are not afraid to print. We saw it with 151. Those boxes were well over 200, and then they printed them down into they were like upper 40s, right? And now they've rebounded since then, but people were able to get them, right? So they've done that on the Japanese side, print to demand. We'll see what happens. I'm a little skeptical on the English side if they're going to be able to do it if the market stays hot, right? So I think, the demand is just too high right now, and anything that they release will get gobbled up. But hopefully they're able to do something. So people should be able to rip this product. People should be able to get the boxes, right? And at least for me, like on a sealed investment standpoint, like I'm looking like 5 to 10 years down the road. So I'm not worried if these prices come down right now. I'd love to see 70, 80 in ETB. It'd be great for everyone to be able to get their hands on it. I don't know if they'll be able to get it lower than that, depending on how much they print, right? Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Then we're also going to talk, this is the Umbreon Master Ball. It's kind of hard to see in this photo, actually. You can't really see the M on here. But this is the Master Ball, and it's actually, a few cards down the list as far as like most expensive, which isn't super surprising. The first time we've had this in English. But this card has come down. The first sale was 600, and we've seen it settle in the mid to upper 300s. Pretty consistent sales right here, 360s, 350s, right? So you kind of have an idea of what that's going to do, and the lowest listed prices are reflecting that. This card seems a lot more stable. It's just the market has accepted that price. Also, I did look up PSA 10s. We haven't really seen any PSA 10s hit the market for any of these cards yet. It would be possible if people got one real quick and paid the expedited grading service. You can have PSA like pay more and they'll grade it quicker. So that would have been possible, but we haven't seen that pop up yet. I would say possibly next week we'll start to see a few PSA 10 copies of all the cards trickle in. Then we have the Espeon. The Espeon is a bit of an opposite. You can see, once again, the chart's not too detailed, right? But it's gone up. 316 upon release, and now we're seeing 350 with most recent sales actually being, it shows 450 as the most recent sale. Before that, pretty consistent mid 300s. There was a $600 sale in here as well. Only a few copies of this guy on TCG right now. Lowest listed being 400, which would be above market right now, but below the most recent sale. And then after that, you got a $1,000 listing. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's just not a lot of copies on TCG. If you're looking at picking some of these up, I think eBay is the way to go, personally, especially right now, right? TCG prices may be just a little bit inflated, and eBay, you're going to get to see photos of the card, right? A little bit better. Some people do post the card photos on TCG Player, but it's kind of few and far between. So if you're looking at picking up singles right now, you probably want to go eBay on that, but it does give us an idea of where the set is at. Then you have the Vaporeon. This is another card, just real quick art wise, that I kind of didn't like initially. I don't know why it wasn't calling to me, but it's grown on me. It's grown on me a little bit. I kind of like this card. Like, I like everything that's going on here, and that happens a lot to me. I feel like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but like we cover it enough, and I go, oh man, like it's kind of, I'm coming around on it. My initial reaction is no, but this one has come down. We were seeing the highest sales on release day at 390. We're down below most recent sale below 300, barely 298, 299, so pretty much 300. A few 280s. There was one almost as high as 400. So very interesting. And lowest listed is 300, which would be a little bit below market. So maybe the Vaporeon going to drop just a little to 300, and then we'll see where it ends up. A few more copies of this guy available, 21 copies. Next up, the Glaceon. This is another card that's gone up, actually, after release. First sales on the 18th, actually, 267, and we've shot up into the 300s. Low to mid 300s you're seeing here, very consistent. A few in the high 2s back here a few days ago, or this was closer to release, the 19th. So not a ton of copies of any of these cards available. They all are difficult to pull, so keep that in mind. Seven quantity available on TCG. Lowest listed from a starred seller is actually 375 with photos. So that is nice to see on TCG. They're claiming a high grade contender, possible PSA 10. Looks a little bottom heavy if I'm just judging off of it, but that doesn't mean it can't get a 10 from PSA. So yeah, so there are copies available again, but yeah, it's something that's also going to be interesting in regards to like the reprint announcement. They're printing more. How long is it going to take for us to start seeing that? Like, they just announced it, but like, are we looking 2 months down the road, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months before we really start seeing the effect? And I'm mainly talking about the English side. The Japanese side, it seems like it's like a month or two, and they're kicking things up pretty good. So I'm just a little bit skeptical of the English side. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. The Flareon has gone up a little. Same thing, 216s up into around 250. Last solds are actually higher than that. We're seeing 300, 290, 293, and then kind of consistent 290s down here, right here, the 21st through the 23rd. No sales this morning, it doesn't look like. 13 copies available on this guy, and the lowest listed from starred sellers is around 350, which would bump this price up a little bit more. So people are going to want to be collecting all of these. Is this like also too like is this like a Lord of the Rings? I'm getting Lord of the Rings here with this ring. Um, yeah, it's quite cool to the touch. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of cool. Once again, cards. Some of these lesser evolutions. Nah, I mean, Flareon used to be one of the top dogs back in the day, but growing on me a little bit. So yeah, I like the Lord of the Rings thing going on. That's kind of cool. Jolteon, same thing. It's coming up. It looks like, potentially comparatively undervalued upon release compared to the Umbreon, the Sylveon, all that, right? 212 up to 240. 240 market, 240 most recent sold. So this one's a little bit more consistent, maybe a little bit less desirable, but it has come up. There was a $300 sale. We were saying 280, 290. 240s, 250s. So kind of consistent market right now. The lowest listeds are higher though. From starred sellers, we're seeing closer to 300, and then people are betting that these are going to go up, right? We're seeing 300, 500, 600, 600, 600 on these listings here for starred sellers. So those sellers are betting that this card's going to continue to run. We also had to touch on the Eevee. The Eevee's doing an interesting little chart, but once again, caveat on everything. The chart is too early to really like tell anything, right? It's just for fun right now. It does help us get a feel, right? 220 came back down just a little, 218, and then it has shot up off of that. So it's just a little down and up. Nothing crazy. Once again, not enough information. But we can see that this is going to be a low to mid $200 card. Pretty consistent in the sales here. Lowest listed does reflect that, 230s, right? And then after that, upper 200s, 260 range on the Eevee. Nice Eevee card too. I like this one. I always like this one from the start. It's got like kind of the little like flowers and stuff going on in the background. Just a nice Eevee card. Makes sense that this one's a little bit more affordable than some of the evolutions. Nothing crazy there. But yeah, we're getting like a sense of where everything's at, and also something that's very interesting. This set currently, and I know it's early, but like this set being worth more than Evolving Skies. But obviously you got a lot more. You got a ton of SIRs. You got the Master Balls, right? So it's kind of like a bigger, more expansive set. You got all the evolutions in here. Now, this is kind of I don't want to call it a sleeper card per se, but this is one of those ones I'm keeping an eyeball on. Just because, if you're not familiar, this is Shinji Konda, the artist right here. Shinji Konda, he did the Giratina alt art. He did the Magneton recently from Surging Sparks. He's done a lot of great cards, the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved. But I absolutely love the art style and everything about this card. Once again, maybe not the biggest Roaring Moon fan personally. I mean, I like the Pokemon enough. It's fine. But this art really calls to me. And this kind of seems like one of those ones that maybe, it's come down, right? 220 down into the high, like 180, right? 180, 190 range. But maybe give it a little time. It might rise. I don't know. It's kind of like my sleeper pick of the set. I know it's definitely higher than some of those other like lesser SIRs, and I get that, but this is like my one that might have a chance to run a little. If I had to bet on an underdog, that maybe this could pass some of the evolutions. I don't know. It's a possibility is all I'm saying. I like the card a lot. Lowest listeds are a lot more affordable, 175. So, I don't have this card, but I'm kind of see like where the bottom's at, maybe pick up a copy or two, right? I like this card a lot. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. We were seeing like, you can see it kind of fall like 190 and now 180, 180 again. So it'll be interesting to see. Once again, I'm not saying any of this is for sure. It's just an interesting thing to look at. Now the sealed too, we're going to talk about, this is the binder collection. You can see a few days before release, we did hit a high of around $80. And then release day is right here. Shot down to 64. You can see the most sales on release day. and these have trickled down into the 60s. You can see binder only right here, but before that, pretty consistent in the 60s. 60, 64, 60, 60, 60, 60, and a little bit in the 50s, right? So kind of leveling out on the price there. A lot of people selling just the binders only on here. So you might have to scroll through a few pages to get to the actual product. Lowest listed right here from a storage seller is 62, which would be a little bit above market. So maybe coming up just a little. You can see it start to come up off of 58 as the low. So the binder collection is going to come up a little, maybe level off for a while. 558 listed on TCG, so a lot more of these. We also have the poster collections, right? You just get a few packs, you get the poster, you get the promos. Similar thing here as well. January 10th was the high, and this slowly went down to the 17th. Most sales, but it was like $35, and we've seen this come down to around 33, right? Last sold actually 28. Before that, 35 to low 30s. So prices are coming down. Some for the most part. Lowest listed, we'll have to go to the next page just to see where it's at for the actual product. Looks like we're in the third page because people are selling just the posters out of these. I'm sure a lot of people are ripping just the packs and selling off the promos and the stuff. But 32 with $2 shipping, which would be 34, which would be just a tinge above current market price if you're including shipping there on the poster collection. So that's kind of the vibe we have going on for everything, right? You have some cards going up, you have some cards going down, you kind of have stabilization on a lot of stuff right now. So it'll be interesting moving forward. Then I wanted to talk about this card just for a second, not related to Prismatic. Now this card is coming from the Chinese 151 set. We talked about some of these cards before, but the part that interests me, this is from Pokey Beach. However, only 1,510 copies will be given away through lotteries. So this is an absolutely stunning Mew card. I don't care if it's in Chinese. I'll be interested to see how much this card goes for with only 1,500 copies. So I do think that that is extremely interesting, the low number of copies with a really, really nice Mew. So I just wanted to talk about that as well. You know, and they're doing their 151 set. If you're not familiar, they're doing 151 now, right? It's just about to come out, and they do have some exclusive artworks, right? You can see that you got this Pikachu. You have more than this too. You got the Pikachu with the Psyduck, Pikachu with the Gengar. This one's really cool. So they are getting 151 plus exclusives that we did not get, that the Japanese side did not get, Chinese exclusive. So I think for collectors, that this is a great an interesting time, especially for 151. So yeah, I just thought that was really cool. I just had to talk about it. Okay. So yeah, in summary, yeah, let me know what you guys think, because like Prismatic leveling off, I don't think the hype is necessarily dying down. I wouldn't say dying down, but I feel like it has cooled off just like a little, right? It's just been like a little relax things. But like I said, we are seeing drops start to hit. You know, so if you want to pick up the Pokey Notify, there's your chance to be alerted. But we're seeing some Target stuff. We're seeing some other things. I think some Best Buy stuff was happening. Lots of stuff happening. We also saw some 151 drops the other day, booster bundles. I believe it was Target. Some people were able to snag those, so that's good. But yeah, that's kind of it. Just a summary of where Prismatic is at, plus the new Mew card at the end. Let me know what you guys think about the Mew card. I think that card is stunning, man. Jealous of the Chinese market getting some of those exclusives. That's really cool. But that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I'll catch the all my endgame guys in the comments, but I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.